Wow.
Happy New Year. Welcome to another episode of Good Times with Bad Movies. I'm Paul Ireland. Joining me as always is my lovely co-host, Tim Morrison. Timothy, Happy New Year, first of all, and how are you?
I'm great, Paul. Happy New Year's to you, too. Welcome to 2023.
That's right, 2023. And I should let everyone know today, this is a little bit of a different episode again, not the normal Good Times with Bad Movies. This is just a fun year in review. So Tim and I, we're just going to take a little bit of time here and we're going to go over what we've done the past year. And we're going to let you guys know about some things that we're doing in this year too as well. It's kind of a nice little thing to do here. Also, I mean, and just side note, in real life here, Tim and I, we've had a little bit of busy schedule. So this is a fun way we can get on here. But, we don't really have the time to do a normal episode, but we can still say, hey, what's up?
Yeah, we definitely had some fun times this year. And we're definitely, I think, it'll be fun to talk about a few of our favorite parts from different episodes that we did.
Yeah. You know what? Honestly, I know it's whatever. I don't like pump our tires too much, but this was honestly, I think, the best season we've done of Good Times with Bad Movies so far. Really enjoyed a lot of these picks.
Yeah, I think that we've had the best string of fun ones to watch this year for sure.
I think we just picked some real good ones. I mean, the first year, I think we burned a couple that I was like, wish I hadn't done that right away. But I think we were able to come in strong here on the second year and really pick it up. And can I ask you, Tim, maybe we can touch this later. Maybe that's, I don't know. But do you have a favorite episode this year that we did, like a favorite movie?
It might be a tie between... Actually, no. I'm just going to go with Over the Top. I think that was easily the most enjoyable episode. There wasn't that was a good time with a bad movie. It wasn't disappointing, and Sylvester Stallone is just one of his best wacky performances.
Oh yeah, this was a great movie. I love that movie actually. That's a really good pick. When I listened to that back now, again, not to sound like a weirdo or whatever, this is gonna sound egotistical, whatever, but Tim and I started the show just so we could have something to listen to ourselves. I think that's the whole point. And the fact that everyone else listens, we really appreciate it. And thank you so much. To me, that's the icing on the cake. That's the cherry on top of everything we've done here. But at least I'm weird. And I listen to us all the time just because I like movies and bad movies. And that was a great pick. That was a really fun one, Tim. But I got to tell you, my favorite this year was Saturday Night Fever. As weird as that movie was, the dramatic, crazy, insane ending of this movie, from start to finish, the costumes, the music, the Travolta, it was like you're going a different direction every 20 minutes. It was wild. And it made me laugh, made me cry, made me question why I was watching this a bunch of times. But I got to tell you, there was just some gems in this movie.
No, that was definitely a great one. I think that's one of these few movies where that was our first time watching it too, for this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd never seen this before. I thought, the costumes were hilarious and just Travolta doing the whole Staying Alive thing. Again, my dad, for whatever reason, this was his go-to dance move. And the Bee Gees Staying Alive song, for whatever reason, would just blast that all the time. So there was a lot of those nostalgic things, I guess, tied into it as well too.
Easily the best soundtrack of any of the movies, of any of the movies we did last year. Definitely had the best soundtrack.
This is a 10 out of 10. I still listen to the soundtrack. I will walk around at work listening to More Than a Woman and Night Fever all the time. I love those songs. They're so good.
Night Fever is just such a great song.
Oh, damn, it's so good. That is such a the whole thing is just amazing.
The Foo Fighters did quite a few covers of some Bee Gees songs. And Night Fever is one of them, and it's really good.
That's really awesome. I actually just watched this new movie, Bullet Train. I don't know if you've seen that. It's on Netflix or Amazon Prime.
Yep, that was awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right? And at the start of that, they had a Japanese version of Staying Alive. And I was like, this is great. I love this. I really like that version too. So just universally a solid song. And I understand a lot of people are like, that's annoying. I never want to hear that. And I understood that. And I felt that way before I watched this movie. And now I'm telling you, I walk around all the time. Ha, 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 doing that. I love it. This is a great movie.
It makes me want to strut down the road with a can of paint in my hand, eating pizza in the other hand.
Yeah, and grab two slices of pizza and jam it in my face and not wipe my mouth. But you know what? Okay, can we just play a clip from this movie, Tim? One of my favorite moments easily within this movie when I first realized how raunchy and crazy this movie was. Let's play that clip.
So Tony gets into the car with his 4 other friends: Joey, Double J,
Bobby C,
and Gus. Oh, and Bobby C.
Just to set the tone of where this movie is going, folks. Tony is getting in the car. Someone apparently almost closes the door on his hand. And we're just going to play you Tony's reaction.
You know, you assholes almost broke my pussy finger.
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, man.
Yeah, that line doesn't get old.
No, I'm sorry. It's so immature. It's so immature that I find that hilarious. But like, someone wrote that. I guess I don't know how like.
Hey, it adds character to them. You know, they're edgy or something.
A layer of Tony Manero that you can see how egotistical and vain he is, and it's apparently a very important finger to him. So. I'm telling you, that episode and it's not us, it's the movie itself. That movie it's unintentionally hilarious. There's so many points in that movie that my mind was blown. And so that's why I love listening to this episode, because it's just clips like that. It's so good. I love this movie.
We should consider doing the sequel to that, Staying Alive. Written and directed by Sylvester Stallone.
Let's do it. I've seen it already, like probably 3 times now.
Oh, really?
I will do it. Well, I watched it on vacation. I was on vacation in Florida when we watched Saturday Night Fever. And then I was like, I have to see what's going on with Tony Manero. And okay. I'm not going to spoil anything, folks, but like, I'll just stop right there. But yeah, I watched Staying Alive because I'm like, I have to see what happens with this man.
All I know is that the sequel, Staying Alive, isn't regarded quite as favorably as the first one.
Listen, I don't think the first one was that hot. It's not bad. It's got its moments. The second one, yeah, definitely takes a bit of a nosedive. It's really, I thought it's goofy. I think it's perfect for our podcast, though. I really think this is a perfect movie for good times and bad movies. So, yeah, let's do that this year, folks. All right, revealing that one a little early. Let's do it. I love it. One of the next movies we did was, again, this one, I don't know if it's unintentionally hilarious or it just, the plot was so crazy back in the 90s that they thought it was cool and that was it. Or no one just really questioned it, or it was supposed to be fun and silly like this, but Never Been Kissed. This was another amazing gem that we got handed to us this year. I loved this movie too.
Yeah, I would call that kind of like a sleeper episode or like a sleeper movie. Just like one that we ventured into with like kind of like low expectations and watched it and we were like, wow, this is really wildly inappropriate and bizarre and weird. And there's a lot of famous people in it too.
Yes. Yeah. Just from like David Arquette running around in his underwear and chugging a bunch of coleslaw and stuff and trying to hit on like a 16-year-old gymnast and then Drew Barrymore taking a bunch of edibles and
a teacher hitting on a teacher falling in love with his student. Granted, this student is an adult undercover, but that doesn't make what he's doing any better at all. Like that's weird. Yeah, there was a lot of creepy stuff in that. But yeah, when she ate those weed brownies and was dancing with the boa, that was hilarious.
She's like drying herself off with the boa. Yeah, that scene is priceless.
I've been trying to replicate that same brownie recipe ever since.
You know what I was thinking though? Like afterwards when we did this, I was like, oh yeah. I was like, how dumb is this lady? Because it's like, you're supposed to be 25 in this movie. You took a brownie from a Rasta at a nightclub where they were all smoking blunts. Like you didn't know what any of that was. And he was like, it's got THC. And it's like, none of that clicked anything in your adult brain at all that this was drugged.
Maybe she knew. She just underestimated how, like, what it would actually do to her. You know, I've seen people, there's a lot of people, if you're smoking weed or get that from the first time, it makes you act funny. Probably not quite as crazy as what it made her, but yeah, it was weird.
Totally, I understand that, but I think we need to play a clip from this movie, Tim. This was so fun. This whole movie, just everything that you said there, you summed it up so well. I feel like at the end of this movie, it's like you just like took your whole anger out on this plot and the writers, and I thought it was amazing. And it had me cracking up the whole time.
I took her to task.
Yeah.
Called her out on her poor behavior. Josie, the character, that is.
This is so good. So let's hit everyone with another clip, Tim.
I have some thoughts. First off,
okay.
I wrote this down. That as soon as I finished the movie, I wrote this down. I said, Josie got her high school experience at the expense of everyone else's. What a selfish psychopath. That she went under. If it's not bad enough that she went like undercover in high school as a 25-year-old, she ruined everybody's high school experience. Everybody in that particular school, the graduating class, was completely duped by this girl and stole the prom queen title. She took a high school student, teenager, to the prom and tricked him into thinking that he was a prom queen with a high school student. She is awful. Just awful. These are horrible, horrible things.
Get him, Tim. Get him.
Like you said, she didn't have to do it. Shame on this newspaper, the Chicago Times, for doing this thing. Even like attempting to like infiltrate a high school and pull this kind of crap. And shame on her for going along with all of it. It's terrible. This would never fly anywheres. All these people should be arrested. Mr. Colson. He's lucky he's not in jail. He was like so close. If she wouldn't have exposed the whole charade at the end there, I think he was going for it. He's lucky that she ended up doing that.
What'd he say?
It's funny because like a lot of times like we have prepared things that we're going to tell each other just to bounce off to see what our reaction is going to be like, and you don't. It's like when you're in the rant, or at least when I'm in the middle of a rant, and then by the time it finishes, I feel like, okay, that was like a quick little 10-second rant. But it's funny to like actually hear it back after and realize that went on for like 2 or 3 minutes.
But it was so good, man. It just like summed up everything that was wrong with the whole movie, and I loved it. And that was so funny. That's why I just said at the end, I just was laughing. I was gasping for air. I'm just like, what he said. There's nothing else I can say that you just said that would top that or like add to it. It was just like, yes, you covered 100. It's like 360 degrees all the way around it. But whatever that is, it was just. I'm not smart in math, people, but it was every angle that you could come to from every possible angle around this thing in 4D that Tim was just hitting this thing on at every level. And it was so funny. And just right there, I just lost it. Because it's hilarious, man. That was so good. So, like, was it just the first thing that you wrote down, or was it the entire thing that you wrote down? Like, did you just write down the?
Oh no, it was just the first thing. No, the only thing that I wrote down was the first line that I started with, was that Josie got her high school experience at the expense of everyone else's. I wrote that one down, and I was like, I don't know why I thought that somewhere else, and I was like, I'm just gonna write that down, and then I was gonna rant about it.
That was perfect. Yeah, it's like the perfect launch pad right there. You're just like, okay, you pulled the slingshot bad enough. You're like, Josie. It's like perfect. I love that. What a great rant. That is hilarious. It makes me laugh every time. You're right. That is a sleeper movie episode, whatever you want to call it. I thought it was great. Again, not to pump our tires, but I think it's a good episode, people. I think you should listen to it. Check that one out. Prove me wrong. Don't laugh at Tim's rant at the end. Listen to the whole episode, then listen to Tim's rant at the end and tell me he's not wrong and he's not hilarious, because he is. All right. But that brings us to our next little thing we've did last year, which is cool. This is the first time we've ever done this. We've been trying a lot of new things in the past year, trying to get things out, experiment with video, doing first time watchings, that kind of things. This was another first. We actually were approached by this really cool independent filmmaker, these guys from Sunderbar Pictures, and they're based out of the UK. They said to us, we've got this movie called A Life on the Farm, and we're going to be showing it at Fantasia Fest in Quebec. Would you guys like to do an interview with the director? Me and we were like, yes, please. Can we hadn't even seen this movie. We're like, yes, first of all, can we watch this movie? And second of all, yes, we will do that. And so they graciously accepted our offer and said, yeah, we'll send you a screener. And we got to interview Oscar. Well, unfortunately, I didn't. The backstory behind that is the day of, out of nowhere, it was just so annoying. I got an explosive migraine, and I was only able to basically set up the interview for Tim and Oscar, and then I just had to go lay down on the ground and just have an ice pack, and it sucked. But it was a really great episode, and Tim did a really great job in interviewing Oscar, and Oscar came on and did a really great job just talking to Tim for the first time and just explaining this movie. And it's really hard to explain this movie without explaining this movie. It's kind of weird. Like this is coming out, I should say too. I've spoken to Sunderbar in the last week. I asked them, because this is like such a cool movie and it's such a unique movie that people need to see this. They said this is going to be coming out on VOD sometime in the spring. They're working out the logistics, so probably early to mid-spring it should be coming out, folks. Take a look out for it. It's called A Life on the Farm. This is amazing, and it's so tough to talk about it without giving stuff away, and we just want to kind of give you just little bits of it.
Yeah, so this movie is a documentary, right? It's a documentary about a guy named Charles Coulson whom had a farm, a family farm, and he had a camcorder, a VHS camcorder, because this was like, I would say this was in the 90s, if I remember correctly. And he documented
Like 70s to the 90s, I think.
I think so. I don't know how. I don't know when he got the camcorder. Anyways, he spent a lot of time just like documenting people around his village and specifically life on his farm. Hence the title of the movie, right? Life on a Farm. And he gave a very visceral look at what his life on the farm is like. And like most people, like you say life on the farm, you think, okay, old MacDonald, dealing with the chickens and just like milking the cows and stuff. And there's actually little of that going on in this in this documentary. It's more so just about it. A lot of it is family tradition and family lifestyle, which for most people would probably be like, for most people who watch this, you may not relate to it very much. In the sense of like his traditions specifically and the kind of different things that go on. Like he filmed like cows giving like live births and stuff like that. But very whimsical about it too. That's just life on the farm. He says that so many times in the movie. And he's just so cavalier and he is having a blast doing it. Like you can see that he just loves being in front of the camera. And there's so many more parts, like Paul said, we can't talk about because out of respect for Oscar and his film, we don't want to ruin it before it comes out, like some of the best things. And some of the best things are in the very beginning. And it's so hard to not talk about it. But it was so much fun, like for me. So when I watched it, because we got to watch an early preview for it, basically, like early viewing. And I was at work. I happened to be at a baseball field. I'm not going to get into what work is, but I was at a baseball field just waiting for the baseball game to be done. And I was watching this on my phone. And like 15 minutes in, once it got to the live burst, I like looked around like to other people beside me and I was like, I'm going to put this away now.
Starts getting strange.
Yeah. I saved it for like the rest for when I got home. And, yeah. So when I got to interview Oscar for the movie, it was so much fun because he actually had like so much more insights into a lot of the background of the movie that it's kind of rare to get the chance to actually watch something really strange that you have so many questions about and actually get to ask these questions directly to the person who made this film. So yeah, it was like super, super fun. I can't recommend people like whenever you get the chance to check out this movie. And then after you're done, you watch the interview that I had with Oscar as like, it's almost like extra DVD footage on a documentary. Like I would consider it that way. Like he goes into a lot more detail and a lot more background of the movie. It was so much fun.
There is, yeah, we don't want to give anything away. There's quite the juxtaposition in some of the images and the music and stuff that goes on in this movie. And yeah. We're not going to give anything away, so please go check this movie out when it comes out. But we kind of actually wanted to touch on some of the music, I think, as well, because in the interview he did talk about some of this. So I'd like to play you guys a little clip from this.
I have to ask also about the music that Charles chose to use in the background of a lot of these films. Where did that come from? Because they're very childlike tunes, you could say, melodies.
Right. So. Yeah, no, a lot of the context of this we had to look up. So, Grandma, We Love You was apparently this kind of a running joke with a certain generation of British people where they think it's dreadful. And it was this huge hit around the Christmas of 1970 something or other. So, that was quite a popular but very tacky piece of music. So, I get where that came from. Some of the choral stuff, he was quite, he liked to be involved in the church, I believe, nearby. So some of the church choral stuff. A lot of our budget had to go towards getting the rights for that music. We went to a music clearance guy and I said, look, we're not choosing to include this. It's only sort of 10, 20 seconds at a time. Is there any way we don't have to get clearance? So no, you have to pay for all of it. So we spent thousands to clear the rights for that. The problem is you can mute it, but then you're missing out on all the stuff because that music is playing whilst he's speaking. It's like, shit, we have to include it. But one of the highlights was the music clearance guy said, right, you've got a little bit of David Byrne's music in there because that was on Charles's tape. And that wasn't cheap either. But he said
The lead
the
singer of
record
the
company
Talking
has asked
Heads.
that you send an email directly to David Byrne asking his permission. So it's sort of 8 in the morning, and I'm thinking, right, what on earth do I say to David Byrne about this film? I personally never heard from him, but I mean, we got the clearance, so I assume he saw the email, and he is now aware of Charles Carson.
That's great. I like to think that David Byrne would probably be a fan of this film.
Throughout the movie, when you, like we said at the start, when you see it's getting crazy and weird and strange at the start of it, it's meant to lead you down the exact path that Oscar went down when he first watched the movie too. So it sets you up and takes you down his whole journey as well too. And I think he did a fantastic job of that as well too. It was really good because when he made that revelation or explained that in that your interview with him, I was like sitting there, I was like, oh crap. I was like, that's exactly what that happened to me. Cause I was like, what is going on here? And it was like, it freaked me out. But then by the end of the movie, I was like really sad, you know? And it was like, but like in a good way and like it's just really wholesome.
It surprisingly turns into a very like heartfelt, like warming movie.
Yes. Yeah. And it's just, there's a lot of customs that obviously us as North Americans, we're not really used to. And then sometimes when I really can't I'm going to stop. So, but it's really cool. And I actually asked a couple people, this is confirmed. I asked a couple people like a week after this interview, I went to my sister's wedding and there was a couple people from the UK there. And I asked them, I just turned to them. I was like, sorry, I'm weird, but I'm pretty sure I like literally said that. And it's like, do you guys know the song? Do you guys know the song Grandma We Love You? And these guys were all tatted up and stuff. And like, yeah, we know that song in it. And I was like, really? And they're like, and yeah. And they started talking to Grandma. And I was like, yes, that's it.
It's a very popular song.
And it's a nice song, but also sometimes, you know, nice songs, you know, I'm not going to ruin things. Okay, just please watch this movie on VOD when it comes out.
The contrast and the imagery that it's really a funny balance.
Yeah, sometimes it's like a gut punch. You're like, what is going on?
So one more time, we should mention that this movie is going to be available on video on demand sometime this spring, and we'll probably give you another heads up somewhere on one of our social media platforms of where you can watch that.
Yeah, and these guys at Sonderbar Pictures are really cool, and they're doing awesome stuff. So, you know, it's good to support independent media like that as well, too. So definitely check it out. And you know what? We're going to be doing some more interviews in 2023 here as well, too. That's what we're definitely one of the things we're working on, and we actually have a couple things lined up here.
Yeah, we're kind of finding out that I think we sort of found that we really enjoy it.
Yeah, we like talking about movies, but we like talking to other people as well, too.
Totally fun to talk about other people, get other people's perspectives on things.
But let's get back onto the podcast and the movies again, Tim, because we did another tremendous movie. Again, not because of us, but because of the actual movie and the subject material that we got within the movie. And of course, I'm talking about Sylvester Stallone's Over the Top. This is such a great movie. I honestly had never seen this movie, Tim, before we did this podcast. And when I watched it, I couldn't stop watching it. And to this day, the movie's downloaded on my phone right now. Okay, people. And I will just pull it out of work sometimes when I'm bored. And I'm just like, I don't have to waste my internet. I can just watch Stallone go, hey, I Mike, grab it, do the horn. Hey, Mike's driving the rig bigger. And it's like, it's amazing. I love this movie.
I don't care. I just want the truck. It's not that nothing. This is the arm wrestling. It's not that big of a deal. I just want the truck.
Yeah, and I love just the speeches and life is hard. All right, we're driving a truck. It's great, and he forces a kid to arm wrestle another kid. It's amazing.
Oh my gosh, it was so silly and fun. Like it just all rolled into one. Like all the choices, like everything from the premise. Him being a trucker on the road and just stopping and having these random arm wrestling fights along the way, all while trying to win the heart of his estranged son, and the drama with his ex-wife and father-in-law. It was just such an amazing, fun mess. And it's like there's quality behind it. That's one of the things I like that's why I find this one more enjoyable than a lot of the ones we do, is that like there is like a lot of people thought that this was really good and they really tried the hardest.
Yeah, this movie's so good. And you know what? This is another one where the soundtrack is just a bunch of bangers. I loved everything on this. I'm telling you. Everything. This is so good. Winner takes it all in this country. It's all good. Take it higher. I love that. You know what I love? I've now become a low-key Kenny Loggins fan just since this movie. It's so weird, but I'm telling you, man, Meet Me Halfway. I thought it was the goofiest song when I first watched this movie, and I was like, what are they doing stretching in this truck? And it's all sexy and stuff, but like, I love this song, and whoever his guitar player is in that for the solo is legit, and it's so good. Mr. Loggins, thank you. You took me to the danger zone and many other places. So let's play you a really fun little moment from this episode. This really happened, honestly, when the moment in real life when I realized what this kid's name was, what Sylvester Stallone's son's name was. So just to cue you guys up, Sylvester Stallone in this movie, he plays a truck driver, and his name is Lincoln Hawk. And his son, he's assumed his mother's family's last name, which is Cutler. So his name is Michael Cutler. Let's play a clip. So Sylvester Stallone plays a trucker whose name is Lincoln Hawk, okay? Everyone in this movie calls him Hawk, though, all right? Lincoln Hawk is the father of this kid who is at the school, whose name is Michael Cutler, okay? Technically, you know, I don't know how it works in this movie. Maybe they had his kid's name changed or whatever. But I feel like when when you have a kid, usually the tradition is they're named after the father. They give the father's last name.
I think that's generally if they're married, if their parents are married.
Well, his ex-wife that we're going to meet later on, we'll find out her last name is Hawk as well too. So she's got the last name Hawk. So to me, this kid's name should be Hawk. His last name should be Hawk, okay? The only reason I'm saying this, folks, and I'm making a big deal out of this, is his name is Michael, okay? His name is Michael Hawk, which doesn't sound like anything, okay? But Sylvester Stallone in this movie calls him Mike. His name is Mike Hawk. This is a movie for kids, and his name is Mike Hawk.
No, man, every now and then, like the way Paul and I do this episode is like we know we have a fair idea of like things we're going to say, and it's fun. I think we both have a good time trying to think of like different things. Like maybe you have a thought, you might notice something that maybe I didn't notice, and then to bring it up on the spot while we're actually like talking about it in the episode live in our recording. And it's always nice when Paul, like one of us brings up something like that, where like I didn't clue into that at all.
Yeah.
And that one, like, it's a nice little funny jab. I had no idea where you were going with that. As soon as you said it, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't clue into that myself. That was really good. A very wonderful, wonderful observation.
It's because I watched this movie about 5 times after the first time I watched it. I just became obsessed with this. I was like, this is amazing. I love this movie. I love everything about this, the soundtrack, everything. And then after watching it a couple of times, I was like, yeah, Mike. And I was like, wait, what is that? What's his name? And I don't know if they did it on purpose or not. You know, if it was like one of those little Disney animator jokes, you know, kind of thing where it's like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge for adults or something. But I don't know if it seems like it was just an amazing accident, personally. That's what I hope that it was just an amazing accident. Because then it makes it more innocent and more hilarious to me. That someone just named this kid Michael Hawk.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I think they knew. The writers, they knew what they were doing. They knew. It
was the 80s. They knew. Yeah, probably. You're right. You're probably right on that. That was a great movie. And again, not that it's fun. It's a Stallone movie. I would love to do some more Stallone movies. I think he's a great actor. I think he does some fun movies, but there's also just an equal amount of absurd movies too. And I really think that low-key John Travolta too, that like they're both like, I feel like there's a bunch of them we can do. So we'll see what happens this year. Who knows? Maybe we'll get to do some more Stallone movies. I don't know. But actually, we did get suggested Cobra, so.
Yeah, Cobra. And I've never seen that.
Could be a good one to go into blind just to give our thoughts on. I don't know.
There was one movie that we did this year that it was actually like our 3rd or 4th time attempting to get through the recording of the episode, and we failed. There would be like a technical difficulty, and so something would get in the way. Even like after we finished, we thought we had it in the can, and then technical difficulty. It just didn't work. So we like sat on this movie for, like 2 years probably, and then just randomly decided to give it another shot. give it the old college go. And this time it finally worked out really well. And it was Under Siege, starring Steven Seagal and Gary Busey and Tommy Lee Jones. And boy, what a movie. This was, yeah, like I said in the episode, it's Die Hard on a boat. And it was like, I think kind of like a crash course for us into like Steven Seagal and the lore behind Steven Seagal, the actor. Like we had a lot of fun going into like just the different stories that different actors, people in Hollywood have passed around with about their encounters with Steven Seagal. And his stories are just funny. So it was like so much fun to just like kind of take a break from the actual movie of Under Siege and just talk about like different Steven Seagal things outside of the movie. That itself was a lot of fun. But the movie Under Siege, for the most part, was actually really enjoyable. The best parts of the movie for me didn't include Steven Seagal himself. Like Gary Busey and Tommy Lee Jones had the best parts of the movie. Steven Seagal was basically just a muscle.
Yeah, they were the actual actors in the movie. He was just there to just snap necks, and that's about it, right? Just body count stuff. That's really, he just kind of talks like this the whole time. I really enjoyed that movie. I had never really enjoyed this like before. Like when we watched it, trying to record this, I thought it was just horrible, and I was just like, "How are we gonna do this? This is just like, I hate this movie. I don't want to do this." But then somewhere in there, we're just like, let's try it. And it's like, yeah, all right. I mean, it's screwed up every other time. I don't know. And then I thought it was going to be really hard to find something to talk about in this. But once we did, man, like, this is amazing. This is like, it's a really great movie. Just like a great bad movie, I think. A lot of people like this, but I don't know. I think it's kind of hard to like Seagal personally. But
Yeah.
This is a fun movie.
Especially nowadays.
But you're right, though. We should play a clip from this movie. Let's play you a little clip of Gary Busey. Just being Gary Busey in this movie.
Tommy Lee Jones is rocking out. He is singing. Mary Had a Little Lamb. And everybody's jumping. It's like kind of like a little bit of a rockabilly version of Mary Had a Little Lamb. And he introduces Miss July, and out through the doors comes Gary Busey. Gary Busey is wearing a long wig and lipstick, and obviously has giant balloons shoved up under this blouse and dress, and he is just hamming it up as like what a joke this is, and talking like a girl's voice and dancing around and caressing the men's face and stuff, and everybody loves it. Like, and Gary Busey loves it too.
I love that.
And I'll tell you, this came out of left field. It's just, it's just really funny because you wouldn't expect a high-ranking officer to just randomly abandon their responsibilities, like on such a day like this, to dress and drag for the entertainment of your subordinates. and so as he's going out, he caresses Tommy Lee Jones on the face with his hand, and he says, "Well, actually, maybe we should just play this part."
I love this.
Oh, wait a minute. No. That's not Miss July.
Yeah.
Really yelp says make it.
Welcome to the revolution.
That's so good.
Yeah, definitely the best scene of the movie. Like as far as like something that you weren't expecting at all. It is totally out of left field.
I love that clip, man. Just because you hear that music in the background, bow, 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 bow. It's just like super 90s. It just reminds me of, every time I hear it, reminds me of Home Improvement. Just a, it's just kind of like one of those kind of like 90s blues rocky kind of things. So they thought sax was cool and stuff. And then the he's doing his yelps, and just every time that I hear Gary Busey yell "Welcome to the Revolution," wherever I am, I have to stop and run away because I don't want people to see me crack up in public. It's really embarrassing. It's the funniest.
I just have so much appreciation for Gary Busey, not even just because of that scene, but the whole movie. But that scene especially just shows you like how much of a good sport Gary Busey is. Like I think, like even as far as an actor, like a lot of people might have like just. Like especially that scene having to do that might have like just not really had much fun with it, but it was super fun to see Gary Busey just hamming it up, having a good time, and yeah, it was yeah.
He loved it. That's a great scene in that movie, though. I killed myself laughing. Just what a great movie.
Yeah, totally worth watching. Maybe someday we'll do we'll watch the sequel, Under Siege 2, Under Siege on a Train.
It's in a train.
That's the next logical step. Like Speed from a bus to a boat.
But then they went to a train, didn't they?
What, in Speed? No, there is no Speed 3.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I thought there was like another movie that was like that, but it was on a train now or something. But I mean, Bullet Train, but maybe, I don't know. Anyways, I've hit my head a bunch. So it's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right.
All right. Too much. That's enough talk about trains.
Yeah, you're right. Choo choo. This train is leaving, and we're going on to the next movie. Another fun, weird movie, Tim.
Yes. We went back to the Twilight, filled with Twilight movies. And I will say this one, we're really testing our like patience with a lot of these movies going into like trying to tackle this entire anthology or all the franchise, all the Twilight movies. And this year we went into the third one, and I think this one was definitely the most fun to talk about. Like there was each movie seems to have stuff that's really ridiculous, and the consistent theme throughout, well, at least the first three movies that Paul and I keep picking up on is how unlikable of a person Bella is. We try not to edit too much out of our episodes and like keep it from like pretty close to what our conversation actually was, so it doesn't sound like broken down and stuff. But we really had to like I don't know how many times we went back to saying how much we just dislike Bella. We probably could have filled like 15 minutes alone just taking from the episode talking about how much we don't like her.
Yep. There's like going to be like a Bella hate cut, super cut one day.
So in regards to this clip that we're going to play here, personally, my favorite part of the episode, it's one of these moments where I kind of mentioned it earlier, in that it's fun when I'm preparing, like, okay, I'm going to see what Paul thinks about this. And, my perception, I see something, I'm like, I wonder if he thought the same thing. Like I'm curious to mention this to Paul to see if he knew this, and it's fun. And in this one, I had the opportunity to actually like sort of start lining up where I was going with it. And Paul started laughing even beforehand, and I could tell. I was like, okay. I was like, I'm pretty sure he knows. He probably had the same thought that I did.
Yeah, Tim. Once you started setting this up, I already knew what was going to happen. I couldn't stop giggling. It's just like so funny because this is just one of those scenes in this movie where you're like, what are you guys doing? Like in the second one, when you and I were talking about it, you're like, they're going to go out and Edward's going to expose himself to everybody in Italy, right? It's like, yeah, that's exactly what he's about to do. He's about to go flash everybody. This guy's naked. He's wearing a robe. Like he's Hugh Hefner or something. It's why? So this is just another one of those classic moments in this movie where you're like, why? Didn't you guys just like think you guys should just say this aloud, what's happening in the scene sometimes, or look back at it and go, maybe we should change this up a bit or give a little more space for the shots so people can see what's going on and maybe not so jump cutty. So, but let's just play a clip.
This is the part where they're at a party and his sister, I can't remember, one of the vampire sisters, can't remember her name right off the top of my head. I'll say it here in a second. She has a vision. And Alice, out of nowhere, has one of her, looking like she's about to have a seizure and starts having this vision. And, man, if I didn't know it, I'll tell you, yes. At first, to me, she had a vision of all the vampires that were turned earlier throughout the movie by this nameless bad guy and Victoria. They are passing around what, at first glance, it looks like they're passing around a pair of red panties, yes. And smelling them. They're taking turns smelling them, so they can get Bella's scent. After I watched it, after I paid attention to it, and I had that thought, I was like, no, they're not passing around Bella's panties, right? Where did they get them? I don't know. Maybe that's a scarf or something. I know I must have missed something in there, but
the guy stole it from the house. Remember when the first scene when he was sniffing the dude's hair? Right.
Yes.
He was in there. He stole her underwear or whatever. No, he stole a shirt or something, right? It's like,
yeah, he went through her
something
drawers.
Creepy, really creepy. Yeah. That's what Paul said. I mean, he's a vampire, so he's bad, but it's really creepy, guys. It's like 11 creepy on a scale to 1 to 10. Like, don't.
So Alice is like, Bella, he's got your panties, and they all know what you smell like. I just really like that.
Yeah. He's got your pennies. What they smell like.
They've got your scent. We've got to run. We've got to run as far away as possible. Get into my arms. I'll mask you with my scent.
Do you wonder in the book if he said that, like, hey, they totally saw you smelling her underwear. So, like, I don't know, that guy's kind of weird, but.
Just to clarify for people who haven't listened to our episode and are hearing this, it was a scarf.
That was a fun episode, Tim. And we're definitely going to have to knock off the last one, which I think is a two-parter. Which
Basically now it seems like we're doing one Twilight movie a year. So we have to decide whether we're going to finish it off with 2 movies in 1 year, or maybe, because you never know, we might watch Breaking Dawn Part 1, and it could just be so good that we just can't wait a year to finish this gripping franchise, this gripping saga,
I kind of think it'll just be so bad that we're like, let's just get this over with and we'll just watch the next one. And I don't know, maybe we won't. Maybe, probably not. It's, you need to recover emotionally from these movies as well, too, and take time. And you got to do some silly stuff, a good palate cleanse.
We may not be in the right frame of mind to, a week later going and watching it again. We may not enjoy it as much.
That's true. We might have to watch Dennis the Menace in between just to give ourselves something to laugh at.
For those who don't know, we sat on, I don't know if we mentioned this in anything else, but for the movie, our very first episode with Twilight, the first Twilight movie, we sat on that for 7 or 8 months before we released it, because we just didn't enjoy the movie at all. And we just we were like, I don't know, we're too afraid that it might show through how much we just hate it and it might not even be a fun episode.
Yeah, we're like, this is not going to be fun. Why does anyone want to listen to this?
Of our Twilight episodes, Twilight Eclipse was by far our most popular one. So, so we'll definitely have to go back to it.
Yeah, well, we'll go back there at some point when we're ready for it. It's probably not going to be till in the year, honestly. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe in the summertime or the fall or something. I don't want to do it during the wintertime because it's already depressing enough with the lack of sunlight.
We did a lot of fun movies this year, but I think that was a great recap on some of our favorites as well. We're definitely going to be doing some more things in the new year here. Like we said, some more interviews, some more first-time watchings. A lot of fun stuff lined up here that I can't wait just to show you guys. It's been really fun this year just to do all this stuff. And we thank you guys so much. I got to tell you, this is the most downloads we've had all year, the most subscribers we've gained on our YouTube. So thank you to everybody who's just even watched a video on YouTube or liked it or commented or just clicked on one of our podcast episodes and downloaded it or anything. We thank you so much. And if we just appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Yeah, we can't thank you enough. It's awesome.
Everybody out there, thank you so much. Everybody in the States, there's a ton of you guys out in the States. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate all of it. Everyone out in Europe and in Japan and everything, thank you guys out in everywhere across the world. It's amazing just to believe how many people listen. There's people so many people in Australia listen to this, and I thank you guys.
Yeah, it's really cool hearing different people around the world. It's something just one of those things that we didn't really expect at all.
No, and just the fact that you guys have all hung in there and listened to Tim and I talk and rant about some of these things. And it's just been along for the ride. Thank you so much for this, guys. Really, really appreciate it. We love you guys.
And I hope you all had a safe and happy New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. And I hope that you keep following us along with this, our journey on the podcast. And stick with us through 2023. Because we appreciate you.
That's right. We appreciate everybody. Thank you so much. We'll be back in February with a new episode for you, ready to shoot out of the cannon this year. We're ready to go. So we'll see you then. Thank you, guys.
Good night.
So that's it. Thank you guys so much. We're going to leave you with just a clip from one of our episodes, Holiday in Handcuffs, the grandmother. She's hilarious. We're going to send you out on this.
I don't know who brought home the bacon, but I'm going to fry it up in a pan.
Mother, no!